Hey guys, what's going on? Matt here, and welcome back to the Black Ops 3 Mod Talk tutorial series. That's a really lot to say that in one go. Okay, so this video, I'm pretty much going to be building the outline of the cabin that we're going for. So the general idea of this map is going to be, it's going to be relatively small. It's going to be a cabin in the centre, very sort of rustic sort of one. And then on the front and the back, there's going to be some outdoor areas. So nothing particularly big, but it's definitely going to let me demonstrate a lot of different skills and a lot of different techniques to be able to use within Radiant. So first of all, before we get into any building, I remembered that in the last video I didn't say about how to be deleting things, which is, it's kind of important if you make any mistakes. So to delete stuff, it really is as simple as selecting things and then backspace. So for example, shift and left click and then backspace. Shift and left click and backspace. It really is that easy. So I'm actually going to be deleting everything in this map to begin with. I don't like using anything that's been preset up, just the way I map, really. I'm going to delete everything in the map. You don't really need to know what any of it does at the moment, because when we actually come to use it, I'll explain what everything is. Just delete it all to begin with. So all these red squares, these are all spawners, things like that. But when it comes to actually putting the zombies into the map, I'll be sure to give proper explanations on everything. So what was that? What do I have select? Oh, that's the actual brush. Didn't look like I was selecting it then. Okay, so first of all, let's build pretty much the floor. That's what we're going to be started off with. So I'm going to be building, as I said, a small cabin. I'm going to purposely build like a sloped roof, just because later on when it comes to lighting and reflection probes, it's going to allow me to demonstrate things that are not square, which is kind of needed, especially if you're going to be building some relatively complex geometry. So let's build the floor first. So over in our 2D grid view, I'm going to be left clicking, dragging. That's going to create a brush. I don't know what texture you guys will be using. It could come textured, it could be not. It depends on what you last used, pretty much. So I'm going to be creating, I know roughly I need it that size. Yeah, that should be okay based on what I'm planning. So I'm going to go change my grid view to by doing Control and Tab. And I'm going to just left click and drag this down, and then left click and drag to resize. Okay, so and then Control Tab to look sort of over it again. Now whilst we're doing all this, I don't want to have things textured. Okay, I want to have things nice and plain. So I'm going over to my textures. I'm going to just type in Colk. Okay, I'm just going to texture it using Colk. Okay, that's basically a block that just is not textured. So when you go in game, it'll be invisible, pretty much. So now let's create some walls. I'm just going to put these one block in, like that, just so we have space for the walls on the outside. I don't like things overlapping. I really don't like it. It's just, I find it's bad practice personally. So let's build some walls. Now we'll left click and drag a brush. See, it's just been drawn there. Control Tab. Is it Control? Yeah, Control. Because I do it without looking at my keyboard a lot of the time, I forget what the actual keys are. That make that actually, pushing. So bring this up to make a wall. Now we don't know how big this wall really is. So one useful thing you can do is by using a model. I'm just using a default character here. And left click, drag him in, and then if we look at it in the 2D grid view, we can see the rough height of a person. So you can use that to do that. I'm just going to delete him because I know my scaling roughly. So create a corner to begin with, just because I can demonstrate something by doing this. So here's a corner. Okay. Now if you notice the brushes, so we select that one and select that one individually, you can see the overlap. We don't like to overlap things. It's not particularly good for several reasons really, because you can have textures that are overlapping and they start to look a bit dodgy, things like that. You want to try and get things meeting nicely. So what we're going to do is we've got to just do a shift and left click on each of these two brushes. I'm going to do Control and right click in the 2D grid view on each of the corners. So this is basically the cut line. Okay, now if you do misplace one of these, you can left click and drag. We're going to do Control and right click though to place them both down, and then it's going to be a shift and enter to perform that cut. We do shift and left click on each of the walls, and then backspace to delete what's left over. So you can see that is basically just cut them and got rid of all the excess that was around here. Now we've just done that, so now I'm going to do it one more time on the other side, just so you guys can see it again. The space there just to copy the wall again. There's no point drawing a brush out. Spacebar will literally just copy it for you. Nice and easy. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to select them both. Control right click for both points. Shift enter to perform that cut. Shift left click to deselect, and backspace to delete. Nice and easy there. Now I don't want to be doing this corner on every single corner. It's a bit, you know, there's no need to be doing that. I do still want it though. But so instead of doing it like this, it'd be easier for me to copy it and then rotate it. So let's do that. So let's copy it, drag it over. Now we need to be rotating this. Now there's two ways to be rotating. One, you can click R and then left click drag. That's going to be rotate mode, as you can see. And it'll then click R to stop rotating, and it's been rotated. The other way, which I'll do over here, is by using these three buttons up here. For this instance, we're on the Z axis, and depending on which axis you are on, clicking on will rotate it. As you can see, we want the Z, so it's going to rotate it like that and go snap it into place. You can do it as many times as you want. It's just going to keep rotating it. So now we've got that done. We've got the, got the corners set up. Now I actually wanted this wall to be flat, so I'm just going to delete this, move this all the way up here. This is just because I wanted to demonstrate rotating, that's all. And I'm just going to do this to the wall, so there we go. Nicely done. So now, I've got a big opening here. Inside of here, I want to have a window each side and then a doorway in the middle. That's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm just going to draw some more brushes out, nice and easy. So now you can see you have some windows here and the doorways in between. So now I'm going to put basically the tops to the doorways in. Exact same way you did to the walls, but now it's not quite a wall anymore, just a top. Okay, now don't worry too much here about scale, as in exactly, as long as it looks the general shape for a doorway, that's fine. When we get to doorways, which will be in the next video, I'll be showing you guys, I'll just make it look a bit more like a doorway, pretty much. So for the moment though, we just want to be creating it. Okay, do this for a window. You can definitely use that character as I was using earlier to know the height of the window. As I said, I just happen to know scaling relatively well, after spending literally over 4,000 hours in the mod tools at this point. I've just gotten used to it. So now we have all that. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to pretty much texture everything. So let's texture the walls first, and then we'll add the roof on after that. Okay. So what we've got, oh by the way, for the roof, I'm going to be building one which basically goes inwards, okay? Just the way I've chosen to do it. So if we do Control Shift, left click for each of these faces, we'll basically go around the entire room completely and select all the faces, okay? Now let's go back over to textures. Let's get some, what should we use? Plaster. Use plaster to begin with. And we'll use brown, why not? I'll do the same to the floor. Now we'll do wood. Do some floorboards. These had already been selected by the way, just because I was hunting earlier to know which textures to use, so I didn't have to search for them constantly. When you do search, you might need to wait for the textures to load in, and then of course browse, depending on what you actually want to be using. Okay. So then, let's create the actual roof now then. So we'll draw out some brushes. What we're going to go for, I'm going to go for about this height, I think. Yeah, that should be okay. So I'll do this. Like that. Just drag this out to make it more pointed. Bring that all the way over. Should I do a trim to begin with actually? I thought. No, let's keep it like this. Right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to copy that, rotate that to the other side. Nice and easy. I'm going to go on the textures I'm currently in use, and I'm just going to texture it using Culk. Right, so next I need to do a bit of a sort of triangle shape here, pretty much. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these, go into this grid, drag it all up. Just a nice little trick here to be able to do. Cut them all, and then delete them all. And you see that's done that quite nicely. Do the exact same to the other side. You can do these individually, you know, just drag them all up, but I do find it's a bit pointless when you can just do them all at once. And just deselect them all. There we go. So absolutely nothing is particularly new in this right now. I do need to drag this down again though. Occasionally you will get stuff like that happening. So drag this down actually. We'll do that. We'll make it a bit more flat. Right, so next let's texture all this. So texture the ceiling. I realise this is overlapping at the moment, but that's for a reason, because I'm going to be using that in a bit. So let's search for wood again. And I'm going to use a wood bunker ceiling, there we go. And we've got that. So now we've got a nice room which has been made. Really quite easy and simple. We'll leave these spawners like that actually. So that's pretty much how to build your first room. Of course, if you want, you know, a flat ceiling, it's the same as the floor pretty much, just on the ceiling. I've just done this because this is a setup now for the rest of the cabin, which I'm going to be doing next. So in the next video, I'm going to be going over making a doorway, okay? And we'll also go over things like just general lighting, stuff like that, just so we can get a map start to look a bit more like an actual map, okay? So then, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I realise this does look really quite, you know, basic, but that's the idea of it, just so you guys could get used to using brushes, cutting them to the right size, and making things, you know, on angles, things like that. There are other ways to do all this, but it's it's too much just for one video. So, yep, in the next one we'll be focusing on the more like the openings and then the interior to this, and really fleshing this place out a little bit more before we move on to exterior. So, you know, as I said, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'm doing my very best to answer anything there. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.